Welcome back to the Lifted Lifestyle Warehouse. This is another episode of Lifted Motors. I think it was 2 episodes ago I said that I was on the lookout for a new car. I've had my eye on this Audi R8 V10 Plus for quite a while now, and I finally found the specific one that I wanted, the color, the seats, just everything about it. The original owner, I bought it with about 6,000 miles on it, so I wanted to buy it right. I feel like I finally found the specific car I was looking for, and I'm really excited to do a review for you guys on this car today. So first, we're going to start out on the outside of the car. I'm going to go over a few of the things that I really like that they've done on the outside because they've updated it since the last body style. Then we'll move to the inside. They've drastically changed the inside of this car. I'll go over some of that. And then we'll get to the fun stuff. We'll go drive it, we'll go spin this thing around, and go over the performance, which is probably why most of you are watching this video in the first place. So first, let's start on the outside of the car. If you're an R8 fan, you obviously know they've made a ton of differences between the old body style and the new body style that came out last year. So I'm not gonna go through all the different little things that they changed. All I'm gonna say is that there is a lot of people who think they liked the old version better aesthetically, but I'm not one of those people. I think the updates that they did on these, especially when they're detailed right, I think they're much better. I think they're much more attractive, but that, again, is personal preference. And I think I said this in one of my other car videos. That's what I love so much about cars, is it comes down to personal preference. One person can be absolutely obsessed with Volkswagen Bugs, and it's just, for whatever reason, it does that for them. So, like I said, if it's your preference, you like the old style compared to the new, that's fine, that's your perspective. But I like the way that they changed the front end on the car. I like the way that it all aesthetically flows now. They put the door handles underneath here. This is the Plus model, so we have the standard Plus wheels, the ceramics, the Pirelli tires. I'll go over some of that stuff when we're driving later because there's a lot of people that say that I think Audi offers Michelins instead and they're much better for the track. I already said the front end, they changed that a lot. And I will say, I'm not going to tell you everything that we're doing. I am going to be doing some custom work to this car, just aesthetically. We're not going to mess with the engine at all because it's under warranty at this point. But the one thing I will say is we're going to do gloss black on these wheels, and we're going to do a wrap, but we'll do another video and show you guys the wrap reveal when it's all done. It's going to look awesome. We have the carbon fiber mirrors here. We got carbon fiber front lip. There's carbon fiber sides right here. I mean, it's the fixed spoiler since it's the Plus. So the regular R8, it comes up out of the back of the car when you hit, I believe, 65 or 70 miles an hour, a certain speed. I can't remember exactly what it was. You'll see the different carbon fiber details and accessories throughout the outside, the interior, and even some of the frame of the car. They did an awesome job with how they used carbon fiber. And you're seeing it more and more now with modern supercars and hypercars. Let's move to the back of the car and I'll show you some of my favorite details back there. Now that we're at the rear of the car, I'm going to show you some of my favorite points about that. I love the way that they did the carbon fiber rear diffuser with the wing. Now, what I love about this wing is that it's not too big and aggressive and just like an eyesore, in my opinion. I think that they did this, the size of it, the shape of it, everything, they did it really, really well. You'll also see down here the black exhaust. There is quad exhaust on here like most supercars, and the exhaust note on this car is absolutely beautiful, but we'll show you guys that later when we start driving. I brought my keys so I can show you the light here that illuminates the engine in the back. At night, it looks awesome. I think that was a really, really cool touch. They kept the black all throughout here. So I said this in one of my other videos, I'm a huge believer that you got to pay attention to the little details and accents of a car, and that kind of tells you what kind of rims or things like that and what it pulls it all together. And Audi did an awesome job of doing that. It looks aesthetically extremely pleasing. I just got gas today for the first time. Their gas tank system, just like that, or you push on it, pops out, real simple. I've seen some people murder those out and make the gas cap black, but I think I'm actually going to keep it chrome like that. It looks right. It looks how it's supposed to be. Every R8 is a mid-engine car, so that means the trunk or the frunk is located here in the front. There's enough room there for a backpack and I guess a purse, maybe a duffel bag, but that is really about it. To open up the hood of the engine, there's a little button right here that you just pull and it automatically pops open itself, giving you access to your engine. That is an awesome feature with all the carbon fiber inlay. So everything that your eye can see pretty much is all carbon fiber. And then again, like I said, is illuminated by that light. It makes it look super sick at night. Go ahead and close that. I think that these are some of the most badass turn signals in the car industry right now. You can see that this is the left turn signal and the light is moving to the left. So it's basically telling the person behind you that you're going to be going left. Aesthetically, they already look awesome with the shape of the lights themselves. But then when you just add that little detail that it moves like that, that is pretty damn cool. Offset by this black intake in the back, just looks really, really nice. Like I said, I love the way that they did the taillights, but just as equally, I think that the headlights, the line here, the way it fits the hood and everything, just look extremely aesthetic. Another thing I want to point out about the wheels, these are the 20-inch wheels that come on the Plus models. There's a few others that you can pick out, but once we do the gloss black on there and with the type of wrap that I'm going to do, it is just going to look so nasty, I think. This is not their Nardo Gray, in case you're wondering. A lot of people, Audi's really famous for their Nardo Gray. This is, I believe, what they call a Daytona Gray, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little bit darker color, but actually, once it's next to this carbon fiber, I love the Nardo Gray. I had a Nardo Gray i8, but actually, this color, the way they have it set up right now, is beautiful, and I'm really, really liking it, even though it's not the Nardo. So this is what the standard R8 key looks like. Lock on top, the frunk, panic, unlock. Super simple. It has the key detector system. When you walk up to the car, it unlocks itself. This is what the mirrors do when you lock them. They fold up like that, the nice carbon fiber on those. And then the door handle themselves, which this line starts here and goes all the way back to this carbon fiber inlay. The door handle is under there just like that. Super, super nice detail. Owner's quirk, the best way to shut the door without putting handprints on the outside of the car is I like to put my hand right here and just shut it like that so it doesn't make handprints on the outside. You can already see from the couple of times that I didn't do that. But, you know, as an owner of the car, you want to figure out how do I close my door without making handprints all over the outside of it, and that's the best way I figured out to do that. I guess you could keep your hand inside, but that's kind of weird. So just going on top like that and just closing it is the simplest and easiest way I've found to do it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is the sister car to the Lamborghini Huracan. And even on the inside, it is extremely similar. Now, I love both cars. My only knock before buying the car that I wasn't obsessed with was the fact that there was no screen here in the middle. Now, I get the whole purpose of having everything behind the steering wheel in the driver's line of sight, so that way they're focusing on driving and they're not looking over here, because this is more for a driver's car. This isn't a road trip car, so it doesn't matter as much that your passenger doesn't have access to that middle screen or there's no one in the back trying to look at the screen. So it makes sense, but aesthetically at first I didn't like it. Now after having the car for only about a week, I'm already obsessed with this layout. It makes perfect sense. It doesn't bother me anymore that there's not a screen there, because it makes so much sense and it's so functional the way they have it set up. And actually, I know this is a small detail that you probably don't care about, but when you're driving a car, the functionality of your AC or your heat system is important. And the way that they did this, the way that these knobs, they look like little F1 switches, and they're so secure, and the way that they display the temperatures on the outside, I'll go ahead and turn it on. You can see here that it has the display, and all you have to do is turn your air up here, turn the temperature up or down there, and where it comes out. And it's so easy. That's so easy. It's so functional. These seats are actually extremely comfortable. The red stitching on here with the red stitching on the doors pick up on each other very nicely. We have the black Alcantara ceiling with the quilted pattern on there that matches the diamond pattern that are on the seats. Awesome detail pickup there. Their gear shift here that they switched for the new models when they redid the R8 is very simple to use. It looks aesthetically pleasing. If you are a fan of having a manual car, they no longer make the manual, so some people were very upset about that. But the way they have this system set up, the paddle shifters are so responsive. They feel so solid. They don't feel cheap. They're textured on the back. Same with the gear shift with the leather on top. Everything is wrapped in leather, pretty much everything that you can touch. There's carbon fiber details everywhere. They thought of everything. And it's similar to when we were in the RS7, my old car that I did a review on. Audi, I feel like they sat in here for as long as it took and thought of every little detail that a driver would want to have on this car, and it's here. There's not really anything on the inside other than, of course, everybody wants more space, but this car isn't meant for that. The way they have it set up, they did it just right. Again, Audi wants everything to be right here at the driver's fingertips. So start stop button right there. Exhaust note, you can make your exhaust louder just by pressing that button. Your drive select, everything for the infotainment system, Bluetooth obviously is still there like most other cars today. And then you have Audi's race mode. So this is basically like, I want my R8 to be like the Huracan, you press that button. I love the way this is set up, the way that you actually can write on this pad right here. I'll show you, it's gonna be hard. We'll get some other shots to try to show you what I'm doing here. But for example, if I was going,
guidance is not active.
Okay, don't yell at me. If I'm wanting to go to something that I'm searching, you actually, like, let's say I wanted to look for something that starts with the letter B, you just write the letter B on the pad and the B comes up on the screen. That is a really, really awesome, unique feature about this car, and it makes it even more simple while you're driving, that you can just swipe back if you want to delete or start writing what you want much easier than having to scroll through a list in order to do it. So as you can see, you can have your gauges here, your miles per hour and the gear you're in and your revs there, or if you're wanting to drive aggressively and you want it to be bigger, you press the view button and now it's the main focus, and you can still have your other information, including a 3D map, which looks amazing when you switch it there. But you can have all your revs, your speed, everything front and center right in front of your face. We have the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which sounds really good. So I thought about this several times. I've always wondered why before premium cars didn't have premium sound systems until the last, 5 years. But before that, you would buy a car, like for example, I used to have a G-Wagon, and then you go put another stereo system in it because you want more bass or whatever. Now, this has plenty of bass. It doesn't need to be any louder than it is unless you're wanting the whole car to shake, which I don't want or need. The bass, the sound, everything sounds really clean. And the same concept with the wheels. Before, when you'd buy a car stock, usually the wheels that came on it weren't very aesthetic. They weren't the best looking wheels. And so you'd go buy the car, switch them out, and go put something else on it. Now, the way that the manufacturers are putting these high-end cars out, there's not hardly anything you need to do other than maybe a wrap or something like that just to make it unique. But it comes all put together. It sounds great. It looks great. And to me, from a manufacturer's side, that's just really, really good business. It's smart. Why put something out or manufacture something that people are going to change? Why not make it the way that they already want it to be, so it increases the chances that they're going to buy that car from you and not have to put more money into it to make it the way they want. And that's not saying people still don't strip these wheels off and put on different three-piece wheels or whatever they want to do, or people don't still put a subwoofer in the back of this and make the whole thing shake because that's what they want. But for me, for someone who just wants a really good sounding sound system with some bass and also has wheels that look aesthetically pleasing, they're doing that now right out of the showroom. For your aux and iPhone hookups, it's just right here. It's super simple. There's this little cubby here, which is perfect for your wallet or your phone that you can throw in there and it's not sliding around. I keep my keys, my wallet, and my phone in there. So I guess if you're gonna rob me, you know where it's at now. Let's show them the space in the back. There's none. There's a new little, whatever net there that's elastic that you could put a water bottle in, or I guess your wallet, keys, and phone if you want them behind you. And then you have little SD imports that you can put in there, and a CD player that's right there in the back. So that's the interior of the car. Let's go have some fun. Let's go drive this thing around. I'm gonna go grab my bag. We'll put it in the frunk. We'll take off and we'll go get some driving shots and see what this thing can do. All right, we're driving right now up to the location where we're gonna get some driving footage. It's up in the desert in North Scottsdale. It's a really good spot to get driving shots. But while we're on the way up there, I wanna talk a little bit about the cars that compare with this and the performance of this car. So obviously number one is gonna be the non-plus, the standard R8 V10. Now, what you're getting with the Plus version compared to the regular R8 is you're getting more horsepower, more torque. So this one has about 610 horse and about 415 torque, I believe. And then it does 0 to 60, it's been clocked at 2.6 by Motor Trend. What I love about Audis with their Quattro system, it's all-wheel drive, your 0 to 60 times are pretty much going to be across the board consistent because you're just launching off 4 tires instead of off just 2. Trying to get traction. Now here's something actually interesting that I actually didn't know until a few months ago. They made a rear-wheel drive only version of this car. I didn't even know that. So if you're a rear-wheel drive enthusiast, you can find a rear-wheel drive. I think they only made 500 of them. It's either 250 or 500 of them. So, but this one's only all-wheel drive, which is what I prefer. And that's the same thing as the Huracan LP610, which I talked about earlier. And again, I want to compare that right now, is the closest competitor to this car. This car on a track is going to be a little bit slower than the Huracan. The Huracan is geared even more aggressively than this car. It's a little bit louder and it has a little bit better, I would say the turning on it is just a tiny bit sharper. Now the turning on this is already awesome, but if you drive the two side by side or one after another consecutively, you can tell a little bit that the Huracan is a tiny bit sharper. But for driving the car around the city, I prefer this one. I've talked to some of my friends who actually owned both at the same time, and they completely agree. They think that the Huracan is much more suitable for the track, and this car is much more suitable for everyday driving or driving on the highway or the city. It's a little bit higher, it has a little bit more comfortable of a ride, and it doesn't beat you up as bad. Now, something I look for in cars like this is to see how drivable it is in everyday situations. Could you potentially, if you had the funds, drive this as a daily driver? And the answer with this is, if funds allow, yeah, you really could, other than the fact that you don't have very much cargo space. I think that really is the biggest challenge that presents itself for this car as a daily driver. Now, what I've heard is that you can switch, and I think I said this earlier when we were talking about the tires and the wheels that are on this car, that you can actually switch to a Michelin tire that comes stock from Audi instead of the Pirellis, and it'll do much better in the turns. What the track drivers are saying is that there's not enough oversteer through the turns with this car, that it kind of dies out through the turn and it doesn't perform as well as it should through the turn, and that's what translates to slower track times. Because in a straight line, there aren't very many cars that are going to beat this. It does 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. We're talking hypercar speeds. We're talking $1 million plus car speeds. So if you're wanting to drive this car around town on the highway and have fun for it, to me, it's the best bang for your buck. And I think it's worth every penny if you buy it right. Now, if you're somebody that likes to buy cars brand new, that's fine, I get that. If you have the money, that's fine, that's your deal. You have the money to spend, do what you want. But for me, I'm extremely set on buying every car that I buy for what I feel is the right price, meaning I'm going to lose the least amount of money over the amount of time that I own it. So I bought this car with about 5,000, to be specific, it's about 6,000 miles on it. I know who the owner was. He's a big car enthusiast. That's also really important to pay attention to when you buy a car like this. So I know how the car was maintained. I know the actual history on it. I know that it was driven by somebody that wasn't just gonna run the wheels off of it, and just, they did a good job taking care of it. And I know the history of the car. It's something you wanna know, kind of like your girlfriend. You wanna know her past, right? So again, buying the car right with these kind of cars is extremely important. There are several driving modes that come on this car that you can change right on the steering wheel with your thumb. I don't know if you can see that in the GoPro, but I think you can with the other camera. You can switch between comfort, auto select, dynamic, and I guess technically there's a fourth if you want to set up your individual. The biggest difference between the comfort is going to be the ride of the car. It's going to be a little bit softer. The acceleration is not going to be as drastic, meaning that the revs aren't held as high. So when people say, oh, I'm switching to sport mode, it's faster, it's just that the car is holding the revs, so the throttle is going to be more responsive. So by switching to dynamic, like we are right now, we're in sport dynamic, the exhaust is going to be louder, and the revs, you can hear the revs holding right now, so if I just touch the exhaust, it's ready to go again. Whereas if I'm in comfort, I'll show you guys an example right now while we're driving. Now we're in comfort. The revs are lower, it's quieter. When I'm flooring it, it's still there, it's still fast, but it's not as responsive because it's not holding those revs at a higher RPM ready for you to touch that pedal. We showed the infotainment systems, the Audi MMI system, I believe is what it's called, and how everything's behind the line of sight for the driver. If you're driving somewhere and you're actually going to use a map, I'll be honest, most of the time I never use my navigation in the car. I always use the navigation on my phone. This is the first car I've owned in a very long time where I would actually use the map on the car over the map that's on my phone. And that's simply because when you switch to a map view in this car, the whole entire screen behind your dash is one big map, and it's a Google 3D map. So the direction of the car is facing the direction of the map, and you instantly know where you are and hopefully where you need to be. So the navigation system on this and the mapping system on this is second to none in my opinion. And this is something that I would actually use in a car for the first time in a long time. We just got up to the location up here where we're filming. There's no one up here. It's not a closed road, but it's pretty empty. This is where most of the dealerships take you on drive. So start driving a little bit more aggressively. Just hear that exhaust screaming at you. And what I like about it is it has like an F1 sound to it. That is my favorite sound of an exhaust note. It just sounds like music to me. You know, if this car could literally be a go-kart, and if it still sounds like that and drives like this, sign me up. Sign me up. Those downshifts, you hear the cracks. I'm not going to tell you how fast we're going on camera, because I don't think that's legal anymore. Back down to the warehouse right now. I hope you guys enjoyed those driving shots. I know I definitely did. That was a lot of fun. That tells you a lot about a car, is that you have fun every single time you drive it. And that's why I love this thing so much, is because whether I'm going to go out and drive and do a video like this or I'm just running a quick errand, I still have fun no matter what. It puts a smile on my face. And for that reason alone, that's why it's worth it to me to own a car like this. I'm just a car person. That's not saying that it makes sense for everybody, that everybody has to love cars that way, but everybody has their thing, you know? You know, there's certain things that I won't spend money on, but when it comes to cars, like materialistically, it is my favorite thing. And so I'll spend money on them because I enjoy them. I get a lot of fun and enjoyment out of them. So overall, just to do a quick recap, this is probably my favorite car I've ever owned. I've driven a lot of cars, owned a lot of different cars, and just the combination of how well Audi did on this car, inside and out, the aesthetics of it, and just the exhilaration of the way it drives. It's just, it's awesome. You know what, I'm just extremely thankful that I'm in a position to be able to drive a car like this that I enjoy. I think overall that's really what I want to finish with. Sorry, my phone's yelling at me. Is that I'm just really thankful and excited to be able to do videos like this that I enjoy and love, and make stuff that people want to watch. And we're really looking forward to making more videos like this for you guys in the future. The next video with this car will show you what we're doing with all the customs, the wrap, and everything that we're going to be doing. And we have a few more cars lined up that we're going to be shooting with as well for the Lifted Motors playlist. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my channel. We're doing a bunch more car stuff now, but we also have fitness, business, and lifestyle videos on here as well. So I think there's a little bit of something on there for everybody. So we'll wrap this video here. Thanks for watching another Lifted Motors video, and hopefully one day your dream car will become your real car. Take care.